Could one team's junk be another team's treasure? Let's look into it. So I was at dinner when news broke that Carlton told Lewis Young, Matt Kennedy, and Matt Owies to look for a new club. They're free to look for a new club. Two of those are contracted. Matt Owies is uncontracted this year. But it got me thinking, is Matt Kennedy, maybe even a Lewis Young, someone that we could offer Carlton something small for them, bring them to the club because they feel positional needs? Before we jump into that crux of the video, don't forget, hoodies are still available. I'm sending them out this week for everyone who's already ordered some. And join the membership on Swoop Luke on my YouTube channel. It would help me out a ton. And it's going to be really fun, all the exclusives that are going to be in there. But now, let's talk about one man's trash and another man's treasure. So we'll start with Matt Kennedy, 27 years old, had his career best season, I would say, played every single game for the Blues this year. And you probably remember from the elimination final against Brisbane, where he got subbed out during the second quarter. He had just had a baby. He flew up late. There was this big AFL write-up on him, and he gets subbed out a quarter and a half into the elimination. Now, that didn't sit right with me, didn't sit right with anyone on the internet. And there was even Carlton supporters saying, I wouldn't be surprised if he sort of looks for another team and he's been shafted by the Blues and stuff like that. And then news comes out today that, yeah, he's been told that he can look for another trade. And, you know, we don't really know if it's player-driven or club-driven at the moment. But it would be an interesting choice for Collingwood to look at. We're looking for inside mids. There's not really a lot on the market. You know, we were trying to go for, you know, Alex Davies, Peatling, who can kind of play in that role. There's talks of Ben Hobbs, but nothing has sort of progressed there. Tom Mitchell, we don't know how he's looking. Finn McRae, we don't know if he's even going to stay. So could Matt Kennedy be the player that we're after? And the thing about Matt Kennedy is he's very versatile as well. He's a big body. He's one of those bodies that, you know, can go in and protect someone like Nick Dacos. He wants to play as an inside mid. Carlton are saying, no, we like that half forward role that you're playing. He's 16 goals, 10 this year. But I dare say that Collingwood should definitely have a look into him. I don't know how cheap he would come. He'd probably be on big money because there was a point where Carlton were offering these big contracts to these players to get them into the club, and I think Kennedy was one of them. But I would absolutely love Kennedy, and apparently so would you guys. This year, he's averaging 18 disposals, 3.5 tackles, 2 clearances a game. That's because he is playing that sort of half-forward role. His best game was against Hawthorn, 134 fantasy points, 33 disposals, 10 marks. So I think it'd be pretty serviceable for us, especially, you know, we're getting older. And I'm going to keep saying that every single video because that's exactly why we need to be looking at these players. And I think 27, Kennedy is hitting his prime. We saw that this year, obviously, one of 3 Carlton players to play every single game this season. He's contracted until the end of next year. So he would theoretically come cheap if Carlton want to get him off the book, because they want to bring a Dan Houston in, and that's fair enough. And Kennedy doesn't want to play that half-forward role. I think he would fit perfectly at Collingwood. Let me know what you think. Now, the next one is a little bit weird, and I don't really like going for Carlton scraps, but Lewis Young would be a very interesting guy to look at. Now, I know Lewis Young is such a whipping boy for the Blues. You know, I talked to, you know, Terry from Blue Abroad and Pom and stuff, and we always, when we're talking on Footy Abroad and stuff like that, Lewis Young's name gets popped up, and we chat about it, and I've seen it on Twitter and all the comments and stuff, and Lewis Young is very much, you know, Carlton fans say when Lewis Young is picked, it's like playing with one less player. But in saying that, you don't find 202 centimeter key position swingman. I think he's like 25, so he's in a good age range. He is a little bit slow. He does make a little bit of questionable decisions sometimes, but I think towards the end of the year, he was working really well in tandem with Jacob Wiedering, and if he could come cheap, it's definitely someone to look at. You know, it's better than trying to pick up like someone like a Marchbank who's injury prone, or a Haynes from GWS who's on that older range, who Carlton are probably going to get anyway. There's talk about Himmelberg, but apparently he's tied to the Gold Coast and he'll go to the Suns. So a swingman is not something that grows on trees, and we could maybe do a 2-for-1 deal with Carlton for Young and for Matt Kennedy. Do Carlton really trade with us? Do we have a good relationship with them? Probably not, but they might want to help their players get into a new club just for a new breath of life into them. And again, get them off the books. Lewis Young played at the Western Bulldogs. He was a backup ruckman, a bit undersized for a backup ruckman back then, but now he's grown a bit. He plays as a key position player for the Blues. I think maybe he'd work pretty well with Darcy Moore. Let Darcy Moore do what Darcy Moore wants to do. Jeremy Howe as well. But then it goes into question, what happens with Billy Frampton? Is Lewis Young an upgrade on Billy Frampton, or is Billy Frampton better than Lewis Young, or are they just even themselves out? Can you then, if you bring Lewis Young into the team, can you then develop Billy Frampton into the key forward that we need? Because we know that he can take a good mark. We know that he can kick a good goal. We know he can play as a defensive forward. Just look at that grand final. It seems pretty interesting when you sort of think about it like that. But when does Collingwood ever bring in two players from the one club? When does that really happen throughout the AFL? But I think it's very interesting. If it's one of those two, I'm definitely putting my money into Matt Kennedy and saying, look, we will cherish you. We will pave the way for you. You're going to be in the best 23 every single week. Just protect Nick, your big body. Just protect Nick. Go in, be that inside mid that we need. Help us out, and you've got a contract. We'll give you a 4 or 5 year contract. I would love that. I would love one of the two. Would love Kennedy more, but I think, and I know this sounds stupid because I know Collingwood are prone to getting key tools, especially key backs that aren't that good. But Lewis Young, there's something about him. Even though I know that he's a whipping boy, I know that he's not that good, and I know I've said bad things about Lewis Young in the past. Could be very, very interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.